So, good evening, everybody. I was asked and honored to make a presentation tonight, and I'm not going to be, well, actually, I'm going to be longer than Patrick. I've got 9 pages here, and it's not everything, obviously. It's like, I want to thank, first of all, the folks from INS for doing this. Alan, John, Annette, Christine, Marilyn, everybody from INS who's here. Appreciate really honoring our good friend. I also want to recognize Neeraj's family. There he is, right there. Manik is here. He was unsuccessful at INS. I'm sorry.
Ouch! Annette, cover your ears.
I mistook. I'm sorry. It's not Manik. It's Nick. Manik was not studly enough for
Nick's doing great. Okay.
Yeah, right. And of course, the elder son Rishi. He works. He's an electrical engineer who followed in his grandfather's footsteps. Works for Cirrus Logic. You don't know Cirrus, but they are Apple company's bitch. 80% of their business is audio chips for Apple. Wow. So every time you hear Siri, it's like him. Yeah. And where's comedy? Comedy. Everybody applaud for comedy. Long-suffering wife, sends him out on the road because she really wants to get rid of him.
I'm coming home, honey. Sword.
Yeah. So she gave him two beautiful sons here, and still puts up with him. I don't know how. So anyway, we're here gathered here to honor a man among men and women, a great person, a deep thinker, a Renaissance man, an honorable man, a man who would be your instant friend, very sympathetic. Neeraj Gupta is not that man. He is cold, calculating, devious, deceptive, and void of all human emotion. You know that, yeah. And I will give you a number of examples to prove that point. Okay? Let's talk about his history as a youth. Okay? He was born in Jammu, Kashmir, actually in a little town farming village of Lakhanpur in Kashmir. And I looked it up, and it's somewhere near Topeka. As a small boy, he was a small farm boy.
He was never small.
Yeah.
Farm boy.
He fed the chickens and collected the eggs and raised and slopped the pigs. And of course cows. Cows are very prevalent in India, and they're sacred. So he had a pet cow. He did. He slept with the cow, his pet. And they're sacred. So his cow, he tried to name his cow, and his father really got mad at him because he wanted to name him after his favorite poet, which was Khalil Gibran. And he said, no, Neeraj, you can't do that. He says, cows are sacred. You must not name him after the poet. That's kind of a gay name.
I knew he was.
Yeah. Not there's anything wrong with that. But so as a youth, he was suspicious, for the rest of his life about that. So he named him after one of the most famous British authors, Rudyard Kipling. Called his cow Rudy. Slept with the cow every night. So anyway, but the problem is, as he was growing up in this small farm village, he kept whining all the time to his parents, to his father, his grandfather. I want to go to America. I want to go to the U.S. That was his goal in life, even as a 6-year-old. So they put up with this for years and years and years. And you know, God loving, his father was also an electrical engineer. He worked for the government of India. He actually helped modernize their electrical grid, and their ships traveled all over the country. His grandfather was a customs agent for the state of Kashmir, where the country was still independent at the time. So, you know, Neeraj learned quickly to nurse off the tit of state government. So he learned his lesson well, you know. So at the age of 23, December 8th, 1978, he came to America. And so his father and grandfather finally got rid of him. You know, stop your whining and complaining, go to America. So he landed at JFK Airport. He had $6 in his pocket.
Wow.
That's true.
It's a true story. So what did he buy? He bought a pack of cigarettes and 2 scotches. He had 50 cents. He had 50 cents before he got to the West Coast. So you know he ended up in Washington State, you know, where I am now. Very proud of it. Proud to get rid of him from Washington State. But he decided to go to school. He went to University of Washington, got an accounting degree. So it became successful. And he actually joined the Washington Insurance Department and worked his way up, and he was, you know, pretty successful. Then he moved to Oregon, and then Comedy came over, and they started having kids. And so he started working for the Oregon Department as an examiner. They ran into some medical bills, and so he had to go get a second job. And this is how he explains himself. He worked for Wendy's. Now, you know, cows are sacred to this guy. So he started to work for Wendy's, and he would eat their hamburgers all the time. So now you know the story of why he tells you now. Well, you know, why do you eat hamburgers at Wendy's? It's American beef. It's not sacred. It's not Indian cow.
Holy cow.
And that carried out through his whole career. So anyway, so he finally made chief in Oregon. Charlie Nikoloff called him in his office and says, you know, you're going to be the chief examiner. And Neeraj goes, first thing he says, of course, I'm the first Indian chief in the country. So anyway, 20 years ago, almost exactly to this date, June 2nd, I get a phone call. I'm the brand new chief, started June 1st, 1999 in Washington State. I get a phone call in my office in Olympia, and I go, who's calling me? Nobody knows I'm here. It's Neeraj. And so he knows how much trouble we were in because we had lost all our examiners and so on. So what did he do? First thing he did is offer to help. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. And he did help. He did help a lot. He brought up resources to help us on exams. He did some training for us. So, you know, we've been friends ever since. I can't get rid of him. So, so we started regularly communicating, and we went to NAIC meetings together. He was a big noise back then for Oregon State. You know, all the NAIC meetings, all the committees. He was behind Bob Howe, Mr. Blanks for a while, you know, did a lot of stuff. The G committee, you know, a lot of stuff. So we started hanging out, especially at the NAIC meetings. And I forgot to thank my wife because she always nursed me back to health after I but I needed some nerves. So anyway, one of the first trips we took, and I think it was back east somewhere, but it was an NAIC meeting, and we were at the hotel after one long day of meetings, and we were hungry. It was late at night, and we were with. I remember Lee McLean. He was in Washington. He also was chief temporarily in Oregon. Went on to Minnesota. So Neeraj and I both knew him well, so we used to hang out a little bit. So one night, late at night, after Lee always traveled with a fifth of whiskey in his luggage. So we'd been in this room after several adult beverages, and we were running back to our rooms, and we were hungry. It was late at night, everything was closed. So Neeraj sees a room service tray. He picks up a half-empty bottle of beer and an old stale roll, and we take it back to the room. We didn't eat it, you know, but that was that crazy, you know. So unbeknownst to him, a week later, he gets a package in the mail from me. Okay, and he opens it up.
No, you call me. Thanks for all you've done for me.
Yeah, right. And so here's the package, and he opens it up, and it's right in the middle of the department, and inside is this old roll and an empty bottle of beer.
I'm sitting in the department, roll in one hand and beer bottle in the other.